understand.
There's a crime that in your time hasn't yet happened. Your dad's gonna die. Your mom's gonna die. And so are you.
Let Go Relive. It didn't get good ratings with the critics. There was helter skelter, but I just seen it with the wife. Star-studded cast, and I think I know why maybe those early critics didn't rate it as well as it should have been rated, because this is a movie you actually have to go in there and pay attention to, because if not, you will miss the whole thing. So we're going to talk about it right now, but first, y'all know on this channel we got to put on the +7 glasses of reviewing movies that have a big African-American cast, sexy as hell, because I'm working on skilling my craft. Would you like some?
Yes. Give me the white ones.
Okay, I'm gonna give you these Sean John glasses. Please subscribe to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Turn on the notifications so when I drop videos, you get them. The best way to navigate my channel is to go to my YouTube homepage playlist. Go through all my playlists. There's football, there's power, there's movie reviews, trailer reviews, something there for everybody. This movie was a good movie, but if you go into this movie not understanding what you're looking at, you're probably gonna burn out very early and not understand what's going on. The basis of this movie, you have an uncle who's a police officer, and his niece dies, and her whole family gets tragically killed. And from there, there's some time shifting and time jumping, but you don't understand that if you just go by the story. And so the cast stars, let's see here, David Alunwo, who was a great actor, Oscar nominated, and the main character that stole the story that was a niece is Storm Reed. She plays the character Ashley. You also had Daniel R. Lawson, Dinner Patron. You had Amar Levia. He's a property officer in the movie. And you had Brian Mann playing Detective Roger Lee. Honey, give us your initial thoughts on the movie.
I liked the movie. It was,
Okay.
I would classify it as being a psychological thriller. I don't know if that's how it's actually classified.
They classified it as a drama, fantasy, horror, mystery thriller.
Okay. Thriller. So definitely I had my detective hat on the whole movie, where I was sitting trying to figure out what was going on. And because of that, I was practically on the edge of my seat trying to figure out what's going on, trying to crack the case.
Right. And for those of you that are thinking about going to see this, if you're like me where you need early action to get you drawn in, this movie's not going to do that for you. But like I said in the beginning, we want this review to help you understand what's actually happening, so when you do go see the movie, you really get into the story, because the story is deep and intricate enough that it can be entertaining by itself.
Yeah, you definitely have to pay attention to details. Mm-hmm. And like I said, you say I'm nosy sometimes, so
yes,
I was paying attention to details.
Yep.
And because of that, I loved the movie.
Any husband who has been under investigation by their wife for anything, for moving her jacket the wrong place, for looking at another woman wrong, when the woman go FBI on your ass, you know they nosy. And she was nosy in this movie, and it worked because after the first act, they kind of lost me in the movie. Because what they did was they started time shifting, but they never let me know how they was time shifting. They didn't give a story into why they was time shifting. You see the man show up at the funeral for his niece. He says something that I didn't realize, or the cast or the audience didn't realize to the very end, was what's supposed to begin the time shift. And that leads me down a road of thinking he's hallucinating when his niece calls him after she's dead. She does a couple of things. I'm still thinking he's hallucinating. It happened later on when he actually looked at a paper and said, I'm 4 days ahead of the person he was talking to on the phone, which was his niece. And that's when I kind of realized, oh, we're doing time jumping.
No, I interpreted that different. So it wasn't a time shift. You didn't see a time shift until late in the movie. How they set it up was, so his niece, his brother, and her mother all were murdered. And they show him going to the funeral, being consoled by his fellow officers. And he, complains that, everybody's praying for me. Everybody's saying they want me to do better. They're praying for me. But you know what? I prayed to God. I prayed to God that I would get a second chance. Mm-hmm. And that was the clue that, he's going to get a second chance. So after he made that statement, not too long after that, he got a phone call from his niece.
But I got to stop her right there. Yeah, they say that early on, And if you don't catch that, you don't realize that that is supposed to be the clue that lets you know that there's going to be a time shift that's supposed to be divine intervention. But
there's going to be that's his opportunity. That's his opportunity to get a second chance to go back and save his niece.
Exactly. And if you don't pick up on that, if you don't get that, the movie might turn into one of these hallucination things. It loses you because there's not a lot of in-movie action. All the action is around trying to put together the puzzle of this time shift.
So after that happens, you have to figure out, so when he gets this phone call from his niece, you're trying to figure out, okay, is this really his niece calling? Is it, is it a spirit calling? Like, what's going on? And so they lead you to three different pathways. One, he, like Lamont said, he could be hallucinating. 2, is this a spirit from the past calling him? And 3, is this are they moving along different timelines? Meaning she's really alive, but she's moving along a different timeline than him.
Exactly.
And what happens is actually the third option where they're moving along separate timelines. She's alive when she's talking to him on the phone, but it's 4 days in the past.
Initially, yes.
Initially 4 days in the past. And so the plot of the movie is him trying to get her to give him clues of what's going on around her without actually telling her that she's dead. Well, that she's going to be dead in 4 days.
Right.
And
eventually that moves into 2 weeks because along with getting clues, different things happen that shift the timeline.
Yeah, so he's changing her behavior. So when he's getting her to give her clues and information, she's going back and changing what's happening in the past,
which shifts the timeline,
which ultimately shifts the timeline,
right,
to where
it eventually becomes that he's 2 weeks ahead of her instead of just a couple of days ahead of her.
So that's the plot of the movie, trying to figure out, one, you're trying to figure out who killed her father and her mother,
right, and
you're also trying to figure out, is he going to be able to get her to change what happens so that
she doesn't die.
She doesn't die.
He doesn't die.
Potentially her father and her mother doesn't die.
Right.
So it's good. I love it.
Along with you have internal issues among the police department. You've got all that going. You've got a big ball of stuff playing. If you're someone who's like the movie Butterfly Effect, where Ashton Kutcher would have having seizures or something, then he time jump. If you like Happy Death Day, where the girl would get killed and she can come back and re-alter her time. If you like Avengers, where you could take the time stone, jump through time. Or you can use Ant-Man's potion and jump through time. This movie consists of all that, but they don't just come out in the beginning and tell you that's what they're doing. You kind of got to just watch and follow the movie in depth.
And I think that's what made the movie, Lamont didn't like it as much because I guess he missed the clues in the beginning, but I think that's what made it that much more intriguing. You definitely have to go with your detective hat on and trying to figure out what's happening. And just because of that, the whole time I was just like, high strung, trying to figure it out. And they teased you a lot where you don't really know exactly what's going on. But once you figure it out, everything starts making sense. So I really like the movie.
Yeah, once you figure out what's happening, if you're a person who likes a lot of action in your movies, or you can be good with a movie that has a great dynamic storyline that creates action, once I figured out what was going on, I was able to enjoy the movie. And in the end, I could say that I liked the movie. But in the beginning, it was a little bit of a snoozer for me because I didn't understand this whole concept of he's doing time shifting. To me, I'm thinking maybe he's hallucinating and you're going through a boring story. So I was about to start falling asleep. But when I finally realized that this is a time shift, he's actually putting together pieces to alter time. That's when it clicked, and that's when it got interesting. And that is the main purpose of this review, so that you don't go in there with the wrong expectations, so that you can know to go in there and be a detective while you're watching this. Go in there with the idea that you're going to try to put clues together with the little bit of spoilers we've given you to help this man get to the end of the movie. So let's go ahead and get on to the good stuff. Give us 3 good points about the movie you like. Keep it short.
You know what? I like how they highlighted the relationship between the uncle and the niece.
That was a good one.
I really loved how they helped develop that.
That was a good one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another part of the movie that I liked. Well, you list yours, and I'll jump in with some more.
Cinematography was great. The acting by Storm Reed, amazing.
Yeah.
That little girl, you did not want to take your eyes off that girl the whole movie. And the acting by the main character was great too. I mean, but we expect that from him. In all honesty, all the acting was good. But the little girl stole the show. She showed sadness, she showed fear, she showed pain, she showed jubilation. She did a great job. Another good thing that I liked about the movie was that there was more than one storyline going on in this movie. Like I said, yeah, they're time shifting, but not only are you trying to solve the case of what happened to the young lady's family, but you also got some internal beef going on in the police department that you don't know in the very beginning.
I think what makes a good movie for me is one that when you walk away, you wouldn't mind going back and watching it again.
Right.
And this is a movie that I would actually go back and watch again, because after, things come together in the end, I think it'll make a lot more sense when you go back a second time and watch it.
Right. Kind of like Game of Thrones. If you don't catch it the first time, you go back and watch it and you have a better understanding of what's going on, you really can enjoy it in depthly at that point. What I didn't like about the movie, which I think you didn't like either, is the damn ending.
I mean, it ended very quickly.
Very quick.
Very quick.
And sudden.
But it was enough. I would add one additional, news article in the end to kind of sum up how
things go down.
Yeah, how
now,
it ended.
Now that time has been shifted.
Yeah.
Without spoiling it, we'll leave it at that. So give us your overall rating so we can get the people out of here.
Like I
on
said,
a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say?
I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I loved it. I love thrillers. I would give it actually an 8. I loved it.
I give it a 7, and it gets a 7 because when I finally figured out what was going on, that made it good. I'm thinking that a lot of the early reviewers probably felt the way I felt when they walked into it, and they didn't feel like that they pushed them into what was actually happening. But when you realize what's happening, you really think, man, this was a good movie, an outstanding concept, and you would like to see more of this, and hopefully they'll come back and pick up where they left off and let us know what happened from that point. Any closing words?
No, I would just love to hear what you all think about the movie when you see it.
Leave us comments. Let us know if you're going to go see it. Be sure to tell your friends to watch this breakdown before they go see it so that they don't come out of there upset.
I think they'll be able to figure it out.
I don't. Attention spans is like that nowadays. I don't think they'll get it. The people that don't like Game of Thrones will be the same people that ain't gonna like this movie. And there's a lot of them running around on this planet. That's gonna do it for this video. Don't forget to like this video. Please comment, subscribe. Go get yourself that life game. Definitely go see this movie. Don't wait for the stream. It is definitely worth your time in theater. If you're the person who wants to be a detective, put a good story together that has a great narrative with a great cast. And until the next Sex is Hell video, we'll see you.